Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Yarn Curator podcast. My name is Naomi, and welcome to my channel where I like to talk about knitting, spinning, crafting in general, whatever I happen to be working on. So welcome you guys. Thanks for checking this space out. If you're a regular viewer to the channel and you haven't already done so, feel free to hit that thumbs up and subscribe button. Sorry to hit you so early. I just noticed I've been forgetting to say that in the last like 3 or 4 things I've filmed. And also, if you would like to follow me on social media, my handle on Instagram is the Yarn Curator, and then on Ravelry I am House of Cardigans. I do have a website as well where I post show notes. That is theyarncurator.com. So without further ado, you guys, we'll jump right in. So I'm going to do another little sit and spin with you guys because the lovely Tammie of the Twisted Stitches podcast channel, I'm not sure if she's officially labeling it a podcast or not, tagged me in a little get to know you questionnaire that's going around some of the knitting and crochet channels right now. And so I thought I would do a little sit and spin with you guys and yeah, have a little fun. I did just realize, however, I meant to pull up. We have like 4 old iPhones running around our house right now, so I was gonna pull up the list of questions on an old iPhone and completely blinked on doing that. So I'm gonna go grab that right now. All right, you guys, I got those pulled up on this old phone. Sorry about that delay. Should have thought that before I hit record. I am spinning up today some old Malabrigo. I've previously shown off the other half of that braid on the podcast before. So Tammie, who tagged me in this, is a viewer of my channel, and she lives about an hour north of me in an area called Spring Hill. So that was exciting, and I really enjoyed watching hers. And I do have to apologize. This is going to be a little bit of a challenge. I feel like this braid is a little felted, which is why I pulled the pieces of it so thin. So let's see how we get on, or how much cussing I end up having to work into this video. I have a mouth like a sailor. I just hide it from the podcast. All right, that's a little better. So the first question is, I believe, what does your name mean? Yes, so my first name is Naomi, as you all know, and it has 2 meanings depending on which root you decide, as in the root of the word. So if you go with the Hebrew meaning, it means pleasant, and then it also has origins in Japanese, which means beautiful. So sorry about that. My husband's sneaking in for a popsicle, so a brief break for him.
Sorry.
So yes, if you go with Hebrew, it means pleasant, and if you go with Japanese, it means beautiful. My middle name is Irene. That is Greek in origin, and the root for Irene means peace. And then my last name, which I will not say for privacy's sake, but my dad's side of the family is Greek, and so we've always been told our last name means clan of the owl or something along those lines. So if you put it all together, pleasant, peaceful owl or beautiful peace owl. So that is my name in a nutshell. So number 2, where are you from? I never know how to answer this question. So living in the South, well, I should preface this. From the time I was 16 to the time I was 24, I waited tables. And I used to get asked this question all the time. So, where are you from in terms of, like, where was I born and where did I grow up? Or what I found people were usually asking, where are you from? What is your ethnic background? My family is Greek, Italian, and Cuban. We're not quite sure if it's Cuban or Spanish, but as my mom's been doing some genealogy and we've been digging into the family history, we have learned that my great-grandmother was born in Cuba, as well as I believe her father, I could be wrong, but before they came to Cuba they were from Spain, so it's a little muddy. But yeah, my dad's side of the family immigrated here following World War II. They were actually refugees during the war. They fled Hitler from Greece and spent some time in Palestine as refugees before coming to America. And then my mom's maternal side of the family, they are Italian. They're actually Sicilian. And they came over, I believe, in the late 1800s, early 1900s through Ellis Island, and then they went to Chicago, and the family lore is that they ended up in Florida, where we are in Florida, because they were fleeing the mob. That is the family legend, at least. It may or may not be true. I do know there was quite a bit of mob activity actually in this area during Prohibition. Al Capone actually had a speakeasy in St. Petersburg, which is kind of the southernmost town within the county that I'm in. So who knows? And there is pretty interesting history of Prohibition in the area in general. It's one of the things that I eventually would like to do an exhibit on in the museum. The other way I've heard this question asked, where are you from in terms of where did you grow up? And so I am going to combine this with question 3, which is where are you born? So I was actually born here in Florida, just a few miles north of where our current house is, in Clearwater. We lived here till I was about 10. Then we moved to a small town in North Carolina. Small is a relative term. It's much smaller than where I live now. However, in terms of rural places I've lived, it's by no means the smallest. But we moved to a relatively small to medium-sized town in North Carolina. It is where I did my undergraduate degree, and then after that I moved to Raleigh following graduation, where I met my now husband. We started dating, moved to Colorado, and then decided to move back here to Florida. So for those of you who have watched some earlier episodes of my podcast in which I kind of introduce myself, you will have already heard this, but I moved back to this area because I thought it was going to be a neat opportunity to interpret the history of an area where I'm from and where my parents and their parents' family histories are very much reflective of the history here in this area in terms of themes and things along those lines. So hopefully I'll be able to weave some of that in to the podcast at a later date. I do have a lot of ideas for kind of sitting down and spitting and chattering with you guys. The idea I have is to explore various subjects while I'm spinning and talking to you guys. And so, you know, sometimes it might be textile history, sometimes it might be local history. I'm thinking I want to do those once a month, which will give me time to research and prepare. The historian in me hopes I will be well enough prepared to expound at length on subjects off the top of my head. So they might be less frequent than that. I don't know. It's going to depend on how much research that takes and how much of that will cut into knitting time. So yeah, I am digressing on a topic that is not relevant to this. So number 4. What would your parents have named you if you had been a boy? I know the answer to this one. So my name would have been Alex. And the reason I know the answer to this is because we used to have a cat named Alex, who has since passed away. And my parents told me at that time, or all of us kids really, that that was what I would have been named should I have been a boy. What is my biggest accomplishment? You know, I've been thinking about this ever since I got tagged for this challenge, and I think I'm gonna go with buying our house. So about a year ago, John and I purchased our first home, and that was really a practice in patience and a labor of love. We've wanted to be homeowners probably for as long as we've been married, which we're getting ready to have our 7th anniversary next month. And it's something that we've saved for multiple times and then had to use our savings for other emergencies or things along those lines. We actually, part of why we left Colorado and moving to Florida was that the cost of living and availability of housing was much more accessible to us than where we were in Colorado. And so that was one of the big factors in us moving as well, from kind of a pragmatic standpoint. And so, yeah, we've sacrificed a lot to get where we are, but it's a huge sense of accomplishment and pride to know that we are now investing in ourselves and our future, in stability and building roots and things along those lines. So, yeah, that was a really emotional day when we closed on our house and moved in, because the only thing we weren't able to accomplish with getting a home was, I've mentioned her in the past as well, Lucy, our cat, and my baby of 15 years. She passed away about 2 months before we got our home, and so it was sad to not be able to bring Lucy to her forever home. But at the same time, when we had to put her down, it was in our old rental. You know, we paid to have the service come out, perform it there in the comfort of our home, and so it's also nice that this home is a little bit of a clean slate, and to not associate a room in the home with that event. So yeah, home ownership check. So what is number 6? What is my eye color? So they look brown, but they're actually kind of more like a golden honey color around the middle, and then they're green around the outside of my eye. But you don't really see that unless the light catches it just right. So we'll go with brown. But if you look real close, they're actually a little green. Number 7, what is my favorite candle scent? That is a great question. I actually don't think I own any candles at the moment. I am not like a super girly girl. I don't know. I'd rather spend my money on other things. But in terms of scents, I tend to like earthier, musky isn't the right word, but more earthy smells like bergamot or amber, kind of more woodsy scents, not necessarily the fruity tropical smells. This tells you how many candles I own that I can't even name scents. But yeah, things along those lines that are, I don't know if masculine's the right word to describe them, just not overtly floral. Those can be a little overwhelming. I'm also pretty sensitive to smells and like scented lotions, so I think that's also part of why I don't really invest in candles and smelly things too much. That is a very subpar answer to that one. Number 8, can I cook? Yes, indeed I can. One does not grow up the combination of ethnic backgrounds I described earlier and not learn how to cook. So I actually have a lasagna going in the oven tonight. I really enjoy cooking. To me, it's just another creative output, much like knitting or spinning. You know, it's an expression of yourself. I love flavors. I love food. I like to cook. My husband has also discovered cooking since we've been married, so that's been great because he helps contribute in cooking the meals. What is good about life right now? So I have had an awesome year, you guys. I have traveled internationally, which is something for the first time with my sister, my mom, and my aunt when we went to Edinburgh. That was awesome. International travel, particularly going to Europe and England, has really been something I've wanted to do for over a decade now, and it's never seemed like the right moment, or that I had the right financial stability to do that, or that, you know, there wasn't someone to go with. And so being able to take that trip was absolutely incredible. And then I have traveled far more the rest of this year than I ever imagined, going up to North Carolina for my mom's retirement party, and up for SAF, and around for the festivities surrounding my friend Amelia's wedding. So on the whole, on the tally score, I've had a really good year. You know, reflecting back as we approach the end of this year, there have definitely been some challenges, I'm not gonna lie, between, you know, my husband and his health, and the issues that he continues to experience have been challenging. And then also being first-time homeowners, and, you know, realizing when the soffit around the outside of your house is rotting and falling down, you don't get to call your landlord and ask them to come fix it. You know, you're responsible for that. But on the whole, I really can't complain. I've achieved so much this year. I've developed some deep relationships with my coworkers, and I've launched this channel and just delved deeper into our community. So life is good. You know, if you look at the tally card, things are better than they are worse. And I tend to be a pretty optimistic person anyways. So number 10, what is your sign? I'm going to assume this means your zodiac sign. And I guess I am a terrible millennial in that I can tell you I'm a Pisces, but I don't really know what that means. Sorry. And I am right on the edge. So my birthday is March 20th, and that is the cutoff for Pisces. I couldn't tell you beyond that. Number 11, what scares me about aging? Honestly, one of the things that scares me the most is losing my mental sharpness. I can feel things slipping where I feel like I'm not necessarily getting stupider, but it's like focus can be challenging, sitting down and focusing on something, or I don't feel like I always exercise my brain as well as I can. So like one of the things I've been trying to do this year, as opposed to just listening to audiobooks, sitting down and reading some physical books some more. So training that portion of my brain and the ability to focus on and narrow into a task. But a large portion of my job is focused around thinking critically about subjects and then how to explain concepts, ideas, stories, and lessons, you know, in a unique manner. So losing my ability to focus and think critically analyze, interpret, and then synthesize information, that's kind of scary to think that one day your ability to communicate effectively or even just to recall information could be gone. So that's probably one of the things that scares me the most. Losing your mental acumen is probably the scariest thing to me. Everything else I can kind of deal with. I already creak and pop and have aches and pains, and it just comes with the territory, and I think you know to expect that. But yeah, that's what scares me the most. Sorry to bring it down. Number 12, what is your favorite holiday? Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. You get to eat. It's low pressure steaks. You just get together, enjoy everyone's company, eat a really good meal, watch some football, and yeah, have a good time. Number 13, what is my guilty pleasure? Buying yarn, I think. I'd say that's what it is. Or like sometimes I'll go to the grocery store to pick something up for dinner, and I'll just get a candy bar and slip it in my purse and not tell my husband. And then when he's like brushing his teeth or, you know, uses the bathroom or something, I'll slip over to my purse and take a bite, and he doesn't know. Whoops. Number 14, what is your favorite show to binge watch? That's a great question. Lately, I have been binge watching old episodes of RuPaul's Drag Race, and I don't necessarily have one that I come back to over and over again. I kind of like to pick one and settle on it. I don't know, maybe Great British Bake Off is another one that I enjoy, but I can't say I've really, you know, repeated that. The only show I've really watched multiple times is probably Sex and the City, but even that, it's, you know, long periods in between. Number 15, what is the one thing that you can't leave the house without? My purse. And Zoe will laugh because I have a gigantic purse. It's huge. I like a big purse, and I cannot lie. And that includes not, you know, my wallet, my keys, my knitting, a snack, a water bottle, you know, makeup. Right now my purse has a sock head hat in it, two bottles of lotion actually. So I don't know, my whole life. I can't leave my house without my purse though. Number 16, are you a morning person or a night owl? When I was younger, I definitely used to be a night owl. And I guess I'm a morning person now because I kind of start tossing and turning between 5 and 6 in the morning, and then I do that until my alarm goes off to get ready for work. This morning I was up early and out sitting on the couch knitting, waiting for my husband to wake up. I tend to I'm not a very nice person in the morning until I get some coffee in me. So don't talk to me for like the first hour that I'm awake. However, that being said, I am very productive in the morning. That's usually when I'm most productive, and that lasts until about noon. And then in the afternoons, I really start to slow down. However, I would rather stay up late than go to bed early. Or, than wake up early, not go to bed early. So 17, what is your favorite genre of movie? I'm a typical girl. Give me a good romance. Give me a good romantic comedy or a drama. I'm a happy woman, and I love like cheesy rom-coms. I can watch them endlessly, and I'm sure some people are rolling their eyes at that, but I'm sorry. I just like things that are lighthearted, that are fun, that have a happy ending. I don't need to be scared. I don't need to have nightmares. Sci-fi, usually that's a no, except for Doctor Who. I love me some Doctor Who, but that's not a movie or a movie genre. What is the last thing that I bought? Well, I just came from the grocery store, so I bought everything you need to make lasagna that we did not have in the house. But in terms of like a non-food purchase, I bought some fabric at the store yesterday. I've been feeling the itch to sew. I really want to sew my own clothing in the near future. I am not ready for that, so I just bought a couple yards of fabric to sew some project bags, get my sewing chops back under me because I haven't made anything like that since high school. And yeah, so that's the last kind of thing I bought. So you guys will probably be seeing that in the near future. Number 19, am I an introvert or an extrovert? I consider myself an extroverted introvert, if that makes sense. So I can be outgoing when I have to. I'm pretty comfortable in most social situations. I prefer smaller groups to like big gatherings. So like once you get more than 5 or 6 people, I start to feel a little uncomfortable. One of my coworkers, when we were having this conversation, she told me she thinks of me as an introvert who tries really hard to be extroverted. And the older I've gotten, the more introverted I've gotten. I used to be much more outgoing than I currently am, but I just like things kind of calm, and I'm a little bit of a homebody and all of that good stuff. I used to be a lot more outgoing and social than I now am. I know, people change. Don't ask me. Alright, and last but not least, what is my favorite book? And that's a tough one. So I got a couple. I love the Harry Potter series. I've definitely read those books multiple times. I love the Outlander series. I've read those books multiple times. I love Pride and Prejudice. I have also read that multiple times. I would say those are the top ones. And then there's other books that are up there. This is not a succinct answer to that question, which I'm sure is what this was originally intended for. So yeah, that is the end of the questions. I hope you guys enjoyed that. And to those of you who have stuck around to the end, thank you so much. I plan on sitting down and filming a regular podcast on Wednesday of this week, so the day before Thanksgiving. So look for that. Oh, I'm supposed to tag other people to do this. So I nominate my sister Zoe, who has the Felicity Yarn Studio podcast, as well as Emily of When Harry Met Onnie. And I think I'm going to leave it at those for now. So yeah, thanks so much for watching. If you guys liked today's video or past videos and you've been thinking about subscribing but you haven't done so yet, feel free to go ahead and click those buttons to subscribe and tap the bell for notifications. And until next time, I will see you guys later. Bye!